Of the Plaquemines Parish Council as sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port, Harbor, and Terminal District to order. The machine is open for roll call. Let the record show that all 9
hit my button.
commissioners are present.
I hit my button, I don't know what happened.
If you would, please rise. We'll have the prayer by Commissioner McCarty, and I'll lead you in the pledge.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Jesus, we ask that you show us the way, that you give us your guidance, your knowledge, and your omniscient wisdom to lead us to make perfect decisions for our beautiful parish. Give us your insight to see the things not yet visible to us, and to keep our council chamber and government free from adversaries against the betterment of our people and parish. Forgive us for any missteps, but guide our hands and minds to focus on your will, for you see all and know our needs. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Just a couple of brief points I'd like to bring to those here. If you would, please, if you have a cell phone, please put it on mute. We'd appreciate that. And also, as some of you are aware, we passed legislation at the last meeting that required a digest of any proposed legislation be printed. If you look at the agenda today, there are items that do not have the digest. That's because those have already been introduced, and so the requirement wasn't there at that time. But over the next few weeks, I think that'll clear out, and all of the anyone who wants to know what a piece of legislation entails, there will be an accompanying digest to explain that a lot better. So with that, we'll go to the agenda.
Item 2, executive session. Discussion of litigation in accordance with LRS 4417A2 in regard to Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, et al. Versus Sustainability Partners, LLC, et al., docket number 76739, Division B, 25th Judicial District Court, Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana. Commissioner Gouy.
Yes, I'll move. Ask for a second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Konovich. The machine is open. At 3:05, by a vote of 9-0, we will move into executive session. We come out of executive session taking no binding action. At 4:28. We'll move on the agenda, please.
Item 3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
Yes, so just make this real quick, because I know we've been here a long time. We anticipate receiving our audited financials from 2021. We anticipated it today. Hopefully, we'll have it tomorrow, so that we can provide that to the council. And also, just a note to the council: I have scheduled a meeting with the Parish Civil Service Commission on the 15th to discuss some of the challenges that we've run into with hiring vital personnel. I'm looking forward to that meeting. And then I just ask the council to all support me in that endeavor. The last item that I'd like to talk about is we are continue to work diligently on the ferry ramp situation. The port executive staff, we've had extensive discussion with the parish engineering staff, and we are looking at all alternatives. Part of that's going to be talked about a little later, in the agenda here, but we are making this a number one priority for us to make sure that the decision that we make for what we're going to do with the ferry ramp and the ferries moving forward is a decision that really works best for the parish, and I yield back.
Let's go back to the Civil Service Committee, time and place. Do we have that information yet?
It is the 15th, and I do not have the location in front of me, but I will email it to the council.
I think it's at 2:30 at Building 600 is where it's typically held.
Okay, 2:30 PM,
I will forward the.
February 15th, building,
600, I believe. I will forward that
All
to
right.
all 6 of you, I mean, all 9 of you,
good.
Building 600.
Commissioners, anything to,
Mr. Edwardson.
Commissioner?
Oh, yes, I just have some questions, but we're gonna take that up at 6C, because you're saying, I have a lot of question around the repair the ramp. So you're saying wait till we get to 6C for that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Commissioner Newsom?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. What, have you gotten positive, negative response to the situation with the ferry with Bell Chase running longer hours now? And so has it been a positive response from the residents?
Yes, for the most part, it's been very positive. We did run into a situation on Monday where we had a mechanical issue, and it took us a few hours to get that rectified. We've since had a couple of meetings to come up with a backup plan to make sure that if something like that happens again, that we can recover faster.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because so many people was actually angry about what happened to Coke was here. Can you really tell the public what really happened? Because people still trying to understand, what happened. Nobody still understand why that happened, and what can be done to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I got it. Yes, well, I definitely understand that the public was upset about it, and I found out before 7 a.m. on Monday morning, and I assure you that I was very upset about it, and I shared that with the entire executive staff, including the ferry staff. So, I mean, we get it that the community depends on having, a dependable ferry service, and that's what we're working on trying to provide. The issue was the computer on the ferry indicated that the rudder was not working properly. And so it was a safety issue where the captain made a call that his rudder seemed to be malfunctioning, so he shut the ferry down. And so if the computer is telling him that, he made the right decision to shut the ferry down. And we were able to get a contractor out, and it took about 3 hours to get that contractor out to take a look. And we determined that it was a computer malfunction. The rudder was actually okay. So we are looking at ordering a new computer component. In the future, what I will tell you is we have developed a plan to be able to transition from one ferry to another ferry so that we don't lose as much time. Right? But I think it's important for us to all know that, our ferries are old. I mean, we have the grant money to build a new ferry, and the guys are working hard to keep these ferries running.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Commissioners, let's move on.
3A, Financial Report, Budget to Actual.
None.
None, move on.
4, Bids and Advertisements. There are none. 5, Introduction of Ordinances and Resolutions.
We have 2 of them. The first one is for Commissioner Champagne, a resolution authorizing Charles Tillison, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a professional services contract with an engineering firm to advise and offer supplemental assistance to Plaquemines Parish Government's Engineering Department with engineering/architectural, textual, and technical support, construction field inspection, project management, and any other engineering/architectural related services. The second one is for Commissioner Gui, an ordinance to amend and as amended to readopt Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Section 2-18, rules governing the transaction of business before the council, excuse me, as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, Rules 18A, 18B, 19.1A9, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And those are all the intros.
1 second. Does anyone wish to move to new business 7A? Mr. Champagne?
Yes, Dr. Goya, thank you. I'd like to suspend the rules and move for this resolution to proceed with the getting the RFQs to repair the ferry. Considering the nature and importance of this, I think it's imperative that we move forward and not wait the normal time, because this, as Director Tillotson pointed out, is crucial for the welfare of the parish. We have a great engineering department, but I know they don't have the bandwidth to handle this, and we need to get some engineering firms here who have the bandwidth required to do this. So I think that time is the essence, and I recommend we move forward.
And this is for a suspension, but I want everyone to note that this is something that was introduced to take up in 2 weeks. And since then, we have been advised of the critical nature and the need to move quickly on the ferry evaluation. So at this point, we're just on the suspension. I know there's some people in line to speak, but this is for the suspension. Remember, for this to go any further, it needs a unanimous vote. Machine is,
We do need a second.
Second.
got it. Second by Commissioner Newsom. Machine is open.
I'm not understanding this.
Okay. There was legislation introduced to allow for requests for qualifications for engineering firms to assist the port in evaluating through inspections and the like, the problems, to verify the problems with the ferry with our own people. We don't have anyone. So what the legislation that was introduced does, it gives the executive director the authority to look for engineering firms and to select one that would meet the qualifications that the Port Administration feels is needed to assist us in engineering. The suspension puts it on the fast track and says, rather than waiting 2 weeks and give them the authority to do it, and then another 2 weeks or so to do that we could expedite this. We know it's an emergency situation. We know we're going to do it, that if everyone agrees on the council to take it up, we need to suspend the rules and get a unanimous vote to take the item up, and then we can get into the nuts and bolts of them.
So how do that relate to 6C? Because I'm really confused why we even got 6C.
6C will be withdrawn.
Yeah, because again, I'm having a problem with us always keep throwing money to do engineer stuff, and then we need to build something altogether new. I mean, it's again, I really got a problem with it, so I'm not going to tell you I'm going to vote yes.
Okay, well, 6C will be withdrawn, so that's not an issue. The situation with the ferry is to allow him to identify an engineering firm to assist us in a consulting capacity.
Yes, if I could respond to that. In most ports, they have an engineering staff that can go out and make that professional assessment. We don't have that. And the parish has an engineering staff, and I would like to just make sure that it's crystal clear that in us going out to seek an engineering service from under a professional services agreement. We're doing this in concert with the parish's engineering staff. So Ken Dugas and I, we've had a couple of conversations about this, so he understands, what we're doing and the focus here is to make sure that we don't put a Band-Aid on a problem, that we assess it, and that we make the right decision to fix it right the first time. But with that, we are still committed to continuing to provide the 18 hours a day of service at Belle Chase until we can get this resolved.
It seemed like Mr. Ken Dugas was a part of the problem with was happening before. He was a part of, I thought he was a part of supposed to have been approving the stuff we had, and then we had the part where it's condemned. And so it seemed like he should have been the one involved in it. I just had serious problems.
Yeah, well, the issue now is the ferry and the ramps are all on the port's asset list. So they belong to the port. And as I, shared with you and with the community at the community meeting last week, we own it. And we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So in having discussions with Ken Dugas, we've decided that we're going to go a different route and put that expertise, the engineering expertise, on the port side, and we will work with Ken. Ken will understand what we're doing, but the port will be working independently to fix the system and not just patch the system. So we want to make sure everything that we do focuses on safety and security, and it focuses on the parish and community being able to move safely across the river. And as I mentioned to you in an individual meeting and during the community meeting, I would really like to tell you that we're going to fix this fast, because I know the community wants to have it fixed fast. But what we're faced with today is a systemic problem that's gone on for a very long time. So we're committed to fix it, but it's going to take us a little time to do it. So we're not going to do it overnight, but when we fix it, we're going to fix it the right way.
See, I thought we was at the point where we was going to come do something altogether new rather than, fix it. To me is like still going back to.
Well, to that point, something new is not off the table. So that's why we want to have that engineering arm with the port, working with the port staff, really assessing, do we fix the ramp or do we go in and do we build a new ramp? And if we are going to build a new ramp, we recognize that we have to move swiftly. How long can we get that done? I mean, it could take us a year, but we're committed to making sure that we do it right.
And then that's my position, is that to go back and patchwork it, we done put millions of dollars in repair. The millions of dollars we put in repair, we should have had a new ramp for the millions of dollars we put in. So that's why I'm hesitant about voting for this, because I'm in the position, we need to do something new and stop all this patchwork and going on working on stuff that's already there. I looked at some pictures today that just really disheartened me to see why we continue doing repair on stuff.
Yeah, you make a very good point, and I'll tell you the reason that I stopped.
Wait, point of order. That's I appreciate it, but let's vote on the suspension, yes or no, and then we can get into the nuts and bolts and vote accordingly. So, machine is open on the suspension only. And the matter is suspended. Commissioner Champagne, you go ahead and introduce, get a second, and we'll open it up. You offer? I'll second.
Yeah, we need to read it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
A resolution authorizing Charles Tillison, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a professional services contract with an engineering firm to advise and offer supplemental assistance to Plaquemines Parish Government's Engineering Department with engineering/architectural, technical support, construction field inspection, project management, and any other engineering/architectural related services.
Commissioner Champagne offers. And I'll second. Before we go any further, Commissioner Champagne, has members of the council had a copy of the introduction? I didn't send it. Have they had a copy of the introduction, the best you can tell?
That I don't know. I received a copy. I assume they did.
Okay.
I know I did.
Does anyone know if the members of the board got it?
I didn't know.
Okay, I know. Let's do this. Make copies. In the meantime, let's read the entire text. In the meantime, while we're getting copies, let's read the entire text.
She took the copy to go make the.
Brian, let her read it.
I think it's on the email.
She's going to read the entire text.
entire text.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess.
The entire text, please.
A resolution authorizing Charles Tillison, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a professional services agreement with an engineering firm to advise and offer supplemental assistance to Plaquemines Parish Government's Engineering Department with engineering, architectural, technical support, construction field inspection, project management, and any other engineering/architectural related services. Whereas the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District has a need for contracting an engineering firm that can assess its structures and assets to include barges, bridges, ramps, and dolphins. The scope of this work will include, but not limited to, roadway design and analysis, sewer treatment, collections and system design analysis, water treatment, distribution system design, and analysis, drainage collection, pump station design and analysis, levee design and analysis, structural design and analysis, flood control design and analysis, pier and marina design and analysis, recreation design, project and construction management, as well as resident inspection. And whereas DOTD completed an inspection and review of the Pointe-a-la-Hache ferry landing on January 30th, 2023. As referenced in their letter, structural recall number 020142, and discovered critical deficiencies that require immediate action to ensure the safety of the traveling public. It was determined that the structure in the current condition is no longer suitable for vehicular traffic. Immediate closure of the ferry landing was ordered until corrective action is taken. The port is adhering to the recommendation of DOTD by seeking to enter into a professional services agreement with an engineering firm. And whereas the port wishes to contract with the firm to supplement the Plaquemines Parish Government's Engineering Department in assisting with the engineering/architectural technical support, construction field inspection, project management, and any other engineering/architectural related services. And whereas ensuring the safety of the passengers is a top priority, and it is the port's appreciation that securing an engineering firm with expertise to oversee the scope referenced above is of the utmost and critical importance. The port will advertise for a request for qualifications, selecting the top 3 from interested engineering firms to provide the professional services. And whereas it is the desire of the Plaquemines Parish Council, as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to seek requests for qualifications, selecting the top 3 from interested engineering firms to provide the professional services described herein. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, that it hereby authorizes Charles Tillison, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into one professional services contract with a qualifying engineering firm to address the immediate need and concern of DOTD regarding the safety of the traveling public.
And to address this and discuss one of the issues that Reverend Edwards brought up, he brought up very good points. And one of the things that this will allow us to do is move forward at a quicker pace. The port director is realizes how important it is to get these ferries operational. But our engineering firm, although they're very good, they don't have the bandwidth necessary to do the critical analysis of the ferry. You know, we need someone who has structural, civil, mechanical, those disciplines, and we need to take a very good in-depth look and decide whether or not we repair what we have or we move forward. What this enables us to do is, first of all, get RFQs from a minimum of 3 engineering firms, have the director take a look at them and decide which one of them meets those qualifications, select them, and have them move forward to make that analysis. So we don't do the same thing we've been doing, as you so eloquently stated, Reverend Edwards. We don't want to do that. They will allow him to make a wise choice on how we move forward. I want to push this forward. I know it seems rather cumbersome. Not all of us had this stuff, but it's just imperative. We've got to move forward because we rely on those ferries. And to wait 2 more weeks, I would rather us wait 5 minutes to get everything printed and figure it out rather than wait another 2 weeks. I yield.
Commissioner LaFrance?
Yes, is there a total amount that we are willing to pay for these services?
I'll defer to,
Yeah, we will establish an hourly rate for the firm. Well, we're, at this point, we don't have that dollar amount set, but we will definitely, as we work through this, and we're working quickly, is set that amount and make sure that the council knows what that limit would be.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, and I was going similar to where Commissioner LaFrance was going when you're saying that we took back the ordinance for the $100,000. I was wondering why that couldn't have been part of this resolution, so that you would have something on the table with. I didn't want to get rid of the money. I was just wondering why we was going to do that. So is there any way we can amend this, since we was already talking about doing it over here in 6C, can make that a part of this resolution we have here?
Yeah, the reason was, as you know, 2 weeks ago, we were right in the throes of the emergency, that we had to shut it down. And we were looking for a direction to take in the interim, and we decided, let's go ahead and put some money into the ferry ramps so we have it and we can vote on it in 2 weeks. Well, in the meantime, we found out the problem is bigger than we thought it was. So we went this route. There is money in the professional services budget that can be used for this. And after you go through the evaluation, the director will come to us and say, this is the firm, here are the conditions, and then we can start talking about money. Right now, we put money in because we wanted to do something to try to react, and then come to find out we had nothing to react to yet. So the decision was let's get an engineer on board and go through that process. How long before we even get a report from the state?
The state indicated that they have up to 90 days. We are talking to the state and trying to get that report faster.
So as soon as we get the report, we'll be in a better position to know what direction to take. But that was the reason for that. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about that.
But I still didn't get the answer to my question, why we can't put the $100,000 in this resolution. That's my question.
You only limit yourself to the 100,000.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Konovich.
Well, with the engineer department inspecting the ramps and bridges, the last 4 years we voted on their findings. Every year we voted that it was good. 2 years now, East Bank was the first time they condemned that one after his inspection. Now it's inspected in September. We received his inspection. We voted on it. Now the West Bank's condemned. So what bridges are he inspecting? Are they good? So, you know, we ain't only at ramps because he's looked at these ramps for 4 years and he's passed them every year. And did anybody ever contact Sean Wilson to find out why he inspected the ramp all of a sudden? Because that's not a state highway.
Well, what I found was this was a 2-year inspection, and it was actually scheduled. It was planned. And, I mean, obviously, the reporting came out of nowhere to us. But I can't really talk to the bridges, but what I can talk to is the ramps are now port assets, and that's the reason we're requesting support to put that professional services arm, so we can do things differently.
I'm good with that. I'm just wondering why all of a sudden DOTD's inspecting something that they don't pay for. They don't go inspect parish roads and tell us that they undrivable, so.
So from what I understand, what I've been told, our ramps are scheduled to be inspected every 2 years, and this was a 2-year inspection by DOTD. The parish is responsible for inspecting the ramps and bridges every 6 months. So this inspection was a 2-year inspection. It was planned, and it did appear to pop up out of nowhere, but it's a 2-year inspection, according to DOTD.
Because I've been here going on 5 years now, and this is the first time I heard of DOTD inspecting a ramp.
Well, point's well taken on all fronts. I got you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to express my thanks to Commissioner Champagne for putting this legislation together. We all crossed last time when I crossed the ferry going to the council meeting, I noticed how bad it was. Didn't know, probably if I knew how really bad it was, I probably wouldn't have crossed it. I'd went to Belchase, I guess. But thank you guys for putting this legislation together. It's needed, necessary. We'll get some experts on board. That's what we need, the experts to fix it. As Reverend Edwards spoke, we need to fix it right. Let's do it one time, and let's fix it right. Again, thank you guys, Mr. Champagne and Executive Director, Mr. Tillison. Thank you guys.
Commissioner LaFrance.
Yes, first I would like to make the announcement for the parish parade on the East Bank that the Point Lahash Ferry will not be in operation. Now, during the time when the ferry was out in West Point Lahash, I think 1 year, did we use a crew boat? So is it possible to look in that we can possibly utilize a crew boat to transport people from the East Bank to the West Bank? Reverend Evans, do you remember we used that at one time?
I remember vaguely, Clarence Brock and Mr. Frederick probably would know better than that because they both was with the fire department. They probably would have a better understanding than I would. And Robin too.
Could somebody come to the podium, please?
I think that was a contract that we did. Pretty sure, because of liability, we did it in a contract. I think that if you could check on a contract.
Yes, we've had that discussion already internally, and it is something that we are definitely open to doing, and we'll talk about the logistics internally and get back to the council tomorrow morning.
Okay, great.
And it's for personnel only, not for vehicles.
Personnel.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to open it to the audience. Any comments?
Hey, Chris, now, you always come to the budget hearings. That was some money put aside for those ramps, wasn't there? Over $1 million and something. Now, after they transported the ferry to the port, a couple, 2 weeks later, that money was transported over to the port. I'm not mistaken.
If I remember correctly, correct me, I think he's talking about the grants to eventually replace the Point Lahash Ferry ramps. But this is to replace, or the cost for how much it's going to cost, what route we take out.
Yeah, my point was they have money there for the ramp. That was my point on that matter.
Yes.
But I want to say to Mr. Champagne, that was one of the greatest moves I've seen happen here, man. You stood up because previous administration didn't want to deal with the ferry. What I seen happen just now, and this director here, he is committed to doing the right job for the ferry. And hey, you should have your own engineers. You should have your own engineers. But the previous, there was not. They didn't want to do anything for the ferries. And that's the way it's just a bad deal. But now I see where people want to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. No further discussion?
And Mr. Henry, to be clear, we have not received the money on the port side yet, correct? But it is budgeted and everything for the new ramps.
Gene is open. And the legislation passes 9-0. The next item, C, is withdrawn. Next. Oh, okay, yeah. Next on the agenda.
Right. 6, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 6A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. There are none. 6B, a resolution authorizing Executive Director Charles D. Tilton of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to enter into a professional services agreement for financial consulting services with R. Johnson, CPA and Business Advisors, LLC, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Gui.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Seconded by Commissioner Newsom.
No,
Who was it?
France.
I agree. Commissioner LaFrance. I would defer to our executive director. We've been through this, and
Yes, I mean, briefly, obviously, we know we no longer have a financial director, and we're advertising for that now, and we're working diligently with the Civil Service Commission, and that's part of what we will be talking about next week. This is a stopgap solution to bring in a professional services group to, one, help us close out our 22 financials properly so that they're ready to go to our financial auditor by the end of March. And then, two, help us to select the new financial director. And everybody that's in the pool right now for the position, none have government experience. So we want to use this platform to also kind of help to transition that person into public accounting. That's it.
Commissioner Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple questions, simple. So on this, I see it's on a 6-month basis. And there's 4 items on the list. And then after that, it says on a month-to-month basis. Who determines the month-to-month? After 6 months, do you guys determine it, or does it come back to these commissioners and we say, yes, you can have him for another 2 months, 3 months, or no, you had enough time? How does that work?
Well, yeah. Right. Yeah, the contract allows us to go month to month, but in the sake of transparency, if we see we need to go past 6 months, we will give written notification to the council and a justification for why we need to go past the 6 months. What we don't know now is when we're going to be able to hire a director of finance. I'm hoping that we can get it done within the next 30 days. I'm losing confidence, because that's the reason that we're meeting with the Civil Service Commission next week, because we've been actually actively working this recruiting effort for 60 days, and we haven't interviewed anybody yet, and we have candidates in the pool to be interviewed. So as soon as we can get a qualified individual on the table, I can give you a better feel for how long it's going to take, to really work with this professional services.
Okay, some more comments or point of clarity. Mr. Henry's going to come up. We are paying this firm $90 an hour, and they with a maximum of 24 hours per week. Is that still correct?
That is the plan. That's
Thank
correct. Yes.
Commissioner Schultz.
And I was going to say also, Mr. Henry, Since we taken over January 1st, we haven't received any budget to actual. Is he going to be able, or this firm going to be able to provide us with budget to actual for council meetings also? Because I see that's not one of the 4 items listed, but if we could start getting some budget to actual information.
Right. Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I hadn't seen budget to actuals in quite some time. What I will tell you is that with my financial accounting hat, I've done a budget to actual in December. I've also done the same thing for 22, and that is information that I will be handing off to this firm.
Okay.
And it is my goal that in the future, when we get to the budget to actual numbers, to be able to provide those numbers on a monthly basis, once a month, once a quarter, and annually.
Okay.
That's my goal.
Anyone else at the table? I will say that we were advised by our legislative auditor and by numerous other people that finding the right person means finding someone who has governmental experience. It's very difficult to find someone with governmental experience. I see Chris shaking his head, yes. We're very fortunate in this, that the principal who will be working for us in this capacity will be Tommy Surpass. And I felt it's important that we let everyone know it's Tommy Surpass, who has the governmental experience to not only keep us in line with our with the upcoming audits, but to be able to train whoever we hire in the realm of governmental auditing and governmental accounting. So, any other comments?
Yeah, I agree with you totally on the information you just shared on Mr. Surpass.
Sheen is open. And the legislation passes 9-0. Next item.
6C is withdrawn. 8, approval of the February 1st, 2023 special meeting and the January 26, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
I'll offer. Seconded by Commissioner Edwards. Machine is open. And the legislation passes 9-0. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Cool. Take your pick. Let's say McCarty and seconded by Newsom. Machine is open.
Councilmember Champagne and Edwards. Thank you.
And the motion to adjourn passes 9-0. We are officially adjourned at 5:08.